Finances is a sticky subject for a lot of people, and it doesn't change just because you're romantic with somebody. It doesn't change because you're married to somebody, and sometimes because somebody's close to you, those conversations can become more heated.
So who would you say is the buy it now versus the let's wait? It's not like you're against giving family members money, but it's like for you need to understand like the full context of what's going on, and not saying like, okay, like they have to like share everything, but you need to have enough understanding as far as, okay, like what's the situation so you can better help them. We want to make sure this cycle doesn't continue to where every time you get in trouble, you're calling us and asking for money.
I didn't know how many people kept separate bank accounts. I assume when people get married, the two become one. I still recommend that you guys begin combining finances on some different level, but begin combining your financial lives together if it's healthy for your marriage. My name is Deasil Wealth. I'm owner of Deasil Wealth Management, a financial planning firm serving clients in the Atlanta metro area and across the United States. I primarily serve individuals who are about to retire, those who are self-employed, and those who are considered practice owners, and I love what I do. I'm also the husband of Kiana Avery.
Well, hello there. I am Kiana Avery, so I am Miss Deasil Wealth Management. And so there's multiple things I do career-wise, but today I will just share as far as I have a video production company, and it is called the Davis Branch. I work with small business owners, and then also I work with families and create legacy videos and milestone tribute videos as well. So today we're going to ask each other a couple questions. So with my husband being a financial planner and also me being a video producer, I thought it'd be fun to kind of ask each other some questions, and I think it's probably very important that you ask yourself these same questions as well. How important is it to talk about finances?
So finances is a sticky subject for a lot of people, and it doesn't change just because you're romantic with somebody. It doesn't change because you're married to somebody. And sometimes because somebody's close to you, those conversations can become more heated. And you kind of have a tendency not to communicate at all. But it is so important for couples to communicate with their finances because we need money in this world, and money funds a lot of things that we enjoy, things that we care about. So having that conversation not only will bring you and your partner closer together, but it also reduces a lot of arguments in the future.
I agree, because I feel like as we go through these conversations, you get to learn more as far as who your partner is. And also, too, if you dig a little bit deeper, you get to understand why they are the way that they are. So are you ready for some questions?
Let's go.
Okay, so here are some questions to ask each other, whether you're married, just if you do life together as far as finances, here's some questions that you can ask each other. So who would you say is the buy it now versus the let's wait?
I believe I'm definitely more of the let's wait.
Okay. I would say I'm definitely more of the buyer. I think I see something, I want it, I get excited. So I guess the question I have is, okay, well, how can that impact a couple's finances? If you got one that's want to like buy it now, and then you got the one as far as kind of less waste. Because like, let's be honest, do you get frustrated with me sometimes when I'm ready like to buy things? Because I know I get frustrated when I want to buy something, you kind of like let's wait. So how do you feel when I'm ready to quickly buy?
So I think it starts off with and this has come from just working with couples. I didn't initially start off like this. There's no right or wrong answer.
True.
Nobody, the buy it now isn't wrong. The wait to delay is not wrong at all. But it's really about a compromise between the two, because usually when couples come together, they do have different spending habits. Mm-hmm. The buy it now is necessary because that means they take action now. They're a little bit more spontaneous. The planner is more conservative, meaning hopefully there'll be reserves aligned for the future. So understanding that nobody's right, nobody's wrong, but evolving that to me appreciating, hey, I enjoy your buy it now behavior at certain times. And hopefully you appreciate, hey, yeah, being conservative and pausing on those spending habits has made my life better. So it's more of embracing your partner's alternative side and leveraging that for overall enjoyment of life.
Okay, so let me challenge you a little bit. When have you found it beneficial to kind of like, like say, I'm ready to buy. So when have you seen that like beneficial with us?
Yeah, I think a lot of things that I let you live as far as decorating the home. Some things that
Okay.
I would overanalyze as far as little pieces that help our home look better. I enjoy when those things are already done. I think gifts for family and friends, some of the things that would take me months to analyze, you can do that off the cuff of the whim. And that makes both of our lives better because you enjoy the buy now. And I also do not have to do the over analyzing of the spending. Can we afford it? Is it the smart decision? And those things happen automatically. That makes both our lives better, and it makes the people we associate with lives better.
Yeah, I can see that. And I can also say too, like, I have seen the benefits of like you having to kind of more like less weight, which is still really hard for me, but I feel like I'm getting better at it. And I think what I like about as far as kind of like less weight, I've seen as far as like how our finances have like increased, because I would go out and just like buy kind of left and right. And like over a time period, it's okay, well, you don't really have savings like you need to because you spend it all. So I have definitely seen the impact as far as, okay, like I got to be honest, I really don't want to say this on tape, but we have more money in our savings account because of you, because you are kind of like less weight, let's kind of think it through. And I guess like that's probably one of the benefits is having a partner. Sometimes it can make you see your blind spots or really kind of just make you look at a deeper level, because it like, even if I'm kind of like by now, well, if I can kind of explain it through, you kind of like see my point, like, okay, well, maybe I am overanalyzing. So I think to your point that you said earlier, there isn't a right or wrong answer. I think it's just more of learning your partner. And I mean, let's be honest, you're never going to learn that unless you actually have those conversations. They're not always easy, but it's important to have. And I mean, I guess you could say it's still going to be a work in progress as well. All right, you ready for the next question?
Let's go.
Okay, so let's see. Question number 2. Who is the dreamer versus the realist?
I'd actually say that we're both dreamers and realistic in different areas.
I agree.
So I can dream up something. She has to suffer through all my ideas and my thoughts all the time. But I'm probably more realistic as far as how we spend money on that aspect. So I think it's both. And I think you could speak on your side on how you feel like you're a dreamer or a realist.
Yeah, I would say the same. I think we both, and I think that's with all the questions, like you may have a little bit of both of them. But yeah, I would agree as far as I think we're both dreamers. That's probably why we're both entrepreneurs as well. I would say you're probably a little bit more realistic as far as like how we need to approach things, as far as me, as far as the money aspect, because you have more financial knowledge of me. So it's like, I may be thinking about a couple steps ahead. You're really thinking more long-term. And so I would say with our finances, you definitely bring that real approach to it, which I think is something that you give not only me, but also your clients as well. I guess what I'm trying to say is you help us see the full picture sometimes. Okay, next question. Who says we'll figure it out versus let's make a plan?
I'm definitely more of the planner. I am very big on, hey, let's figure out what angles, what could happen, what are the negatives, what are the pros and cons, what is the full opportunity. And I think you're more of the kind of go with the flow.
Yeah, I definitely am. And I think you can see too, like as we're answering these questions, you can kind of see like our personality. Because I would say even with that, I'm probably more spontaneous than you are as well. Because like I said, you're gonna make a plan. And why do you think that's the case? Because I think if I look at my past, I've always been more spontaneous. And I think it's because things have just worked out for me. Like I don't feel like I have to go as deep as you are. But I do realize because we are in a marriage, I may have to go a little bit deeper than I would like because it's no longer about me, it's us. But I think I've always been that way. I think I've always kind of like go with the flow, we'll figure it out, because I feel like with my experiences, that has worked out. But I'm not just a, party of one anymore.
No, I think that's spot on. I think for me, it's if something good happens to me, it's not a good enough that it's just good. For me, it's why did it happen good, and is it repeatable so I can continue to have good go on forward. And I believe you, like you had mentioned, you enjoy, hey, it just worked out, and I can enjoy that. And there's no right or wrong on how you want to approach life. It's just understanding your approach and then how that may affect your partner.
So I'm curious about this since you are a financial planner. So how do you help couples through this? Because I mean, let's be honest, like sometimes there may be something where one party is kind of like just ready to move forward. And the other party is kind of like, no, we need to make like a detailed plan. So as a financial planner, how do you address that?
I think it's all about compromise. I think for me, as a financial planner, I get to work as the third party, the intermediary. And my job is not to turn somebody into me. My job is to actually make sure that couple is succeeding with money and enjoying the money that they've accumulated over time. So sometimes I actually bite my tongue and allow more impulsive spending because I see that that's a good thing for the couple. So it's really me taking a 1,000-foot view on overall, what does this couple want to achieve, whether that's enjoy life, whether that's have that financial security, and how do you strike that balance? And it's really having that third party, that kind of steward of your money perspective when I help couples.
I think you made a great point there as far as like it's good to have like that third party, because honestly, if you think about it, it's almost like when couples have to go to like therapy, because sometimes you need that third person to kind of help them see like from both angles. Because there may be things, I mean, let's be honest, when you're upset with your partner, you're not really listening to anything they're saying. I know me, like, I might even go like shut down mode. Like, no, he doesn't know what he's talking about. Well, not necessarily you don't know what he's talking about, but I just see this clearly as far as this can work. So I can definitely see as far as, with your clients and also, well, with your clients as far as, okay, like let me help them understand, what this party is saying and that party is saying, because like I say, they may not really be listening to each other, but they may listen to you a little bit better. So I can definitely see as far as like how that third party can definitely help.
Yeah.
So, because you even talked about this, like, although you're a financial planner, I think at some point, like, we may work with someone because when we do have a disagreement, like, we probably need that third party as well.
I think it's so valuable that both parties are completely heard because I saw the benefit that it has to my clients, and I want us to experience the same thing, not just me, but I would love for me to articulate, have that third party in the room. Even though I may have the financial knowledge, I may not have the skill or the angle in which to pull information out of you to not only make your life better, but make our life better as a couple.
Yeah, because I would say I see you as our financial planner and I appreciate that. But I think also too, well, I see my husband, I see Randall, and I think a third party, like I say, sometimes I feel like you may be a little bit more closed off when it's your spouse. So I do feel like that financial planner can help you open up a little bit more. All right, let's do the next one. Oh, this is good. I think we definitely hit this early on in our relationship. So who's the one when it comes to like family or friends and they're in a need? You already know where I'm going with this. Okay, who sends money versus, okay, like let's sends advice as far as, okay, we need to make a plan.
Yeah, and I think definitely I'm more the advice giver. And I think that's our different family dynamics. Just to give some insight into us, I grew up with two brothers. She grew up with two sisters. So that's naturally going to have a different family dynamic of like what expectations, how we communicate, and how we move forward. So it is not the way we were raised, the way we think about things was to give money. It's more about to give advice, give constructive feedback, and move forward. When I think a different dynamic, if you grew up in a household with the different, sexes in the household, it could be different. And the expectations probably should be different.
Yeah, I could definitely say that it was different in our household. And I feel like sometimes your experience as far as, okay, like where you follow as far as like the sibling order. So my mom was a very giving person. Like if anybody was in need, my mom always helped. But my mom was also the oldest person. She was the oldest sibling. And so she was always helping people out. And I think for me, it's like, I saw my mom, how she was always helping out. And then also too, when I was reading the Bible, I just felt like that's what I was supposed to do. I was supposed to help everybody out. And then there's a good book that you had brought to my attention. I'll let you share more about that book, but it's like that really opened my eyes and it let me see, okay, here's the damage that I may be doing. So let's talk about that for a minute. So that's something that you kind of helped me with. So what was that book that you recommend, and like, why do you think it's important that family understands that?
So the book was called Boundaries, and it's a thought of setting healthy boundaries between loved ones, friends, really anybody. And the thought process is know where you stand and clearly articulate where you stand. A lot of times we find ourselves in different situations because we haven't told people this is my stance and this is how I approach things.
Mm-hmm.
Kiana knows about me. I am in contact with my family all the time. I call them, I reach out to them. Some might say I may pick on them. But the goal is to say, let's keep this line of communication open. Number one reason is if they find themselves in a problem, let's go ahead and nip it in the bud early on versus become a humongous problem, which they have to come to me and say, hey, Randall, can you help me correct this shortfall? And I think that different approach, articulating this is my boundary and this is how I show my love, I think that helps people as far as they navigate with me have a full understanding.
Yeah, I would also say I liked your approach because your approach as far as like, I kind of put it this way, like, it's not like you're against giving family members money, but it's like, for you, you need to understand like the full context of what's going on, and not saying like, okay, like they have to like share everything, but you need to have enough understanding as far as, okay, like what's the situation so you can better help them. Because I think what you told me before is like, okay, we want to make sure this cycle doesn't continue to where every time you get in trouble, you're calling us and asking for money. So it's like, I think you shared with me before, it's like you also got to help them put a strategy in place if they need money. But I think also too, you share with me, it needs to be money that you actually have to give. So if you have to pull for your finances and you can't really pay your bills like you need to, then that means you don't have it to give. So can you share a little bit more about that? Because I thought that was, for me, that was very eye-opening. And I think for you, that may be so simple because you're a financial planner, but I was like, oh, wow, like I never looked at it like that.
Yeah, there's a radio host that comes on the radio and he says all the time that family dinners taste different when you owe somebody money. And it says that, hey, if you're sitting across somebody and in the back of your hand, you're like, oh man, this person owes me money. And one of his things he articulated, instead of owing them money, just give them money. And say, hey, pay it back if you want to. I'm not going to keep an account or record. That way, when you give that person money, you're not always thinking about this person owes me all this money back. Now, if you give that money, you also have to have the financial means to give it and not worry about it at all. So that kind of changes the dynamic. So when somebody asks for money, really think to yourself, if I gave this person's money, they never paid me back, would I be okay? Would this harm our relationship? And if it doesn't harm the relationship, then go ahead and give, and it doesn't harm your financial situation. That way you can kind of keep peace in your life. And it's really about setting up those boundaries for healthy relationships and a healthy mentality towards life and people.
Yeah, because I think, like you said, it's setting expectations as far as what this looks like. Because how does that phrase go? You could either give a man a fish and feed him for the day, or you can teach a man how to fish and you feed him for the rest of their life. Yeah. And so I think like that's kind of what came to me, because it's like you don't really think about things like that. And I guess too, like you understand it more because you work with couples and you see, or you work with couples and also business owners, and you kind of see as far as like how it is damaging sometimes.
Yeah, because there's always going to be one who gives more than the other, as far as family members and friends who has a bigger heart or just been socialized. That's the behavior that they want to do. And that can really harm somebody. It's sometimes equally as bad as having a gambling habit or overspending habit. So these are sensitive subjects. We may think it's nice, it's charitable, but it could actually hurt somebody if you don't have those conversations about giving and expectations of giving.
All right, so that was it as far as my questions. So, like I said, I think if you really examine the questions that we just went over, it just shows more of our personality. And I think, like I say, you're more that detailed person. I'm more of that kind of spontaneous person. And I think as far as, okay, who we are as a person, you have to keep in mind, definitely shows up in our finances. So it just shows you it's important to have those conversations. And one thing that you've been teaching me even more is to understand the why behind it, because then you understand a little bit more. Anything you want to share?
I think go back to what I said beforehand. There's no right or wrong. The goal is that if you're a couple, that you guys live a fulfilling, happy life to the best of the abilities, leveraging, I think key word is leveraging the skill sets and personality of the other person. As long as you learn how to leverage that person's desire to spend, leverage that person's desire to plan, and really work that together, I think you'll find a more enjoyable relationship and you enjoy your life a lot more.
I can see that. But I would say I am blessed because I am married to a financial planner. So it just helps when you have someone that knows what they're talking about. Because I would tell you, this man really studies and he definitely makes sure he educates himself. I always forget, what are the two certifications you have?
Yeah, so I am a certified financial planner and I'm a chartered financial analyst. And I also have my Series 65 license.
Okay. So this is a blessing. But I always tell them, like, sometimes, like, can you just turn it down just a tad? But one thing I love that we're covered.
Yep.
All right, how do you want to end this?
I'd say life is more than money. Money is just a way to keep score, and just enjoy life and love on people as much as possible.
All right, there you go. We're the Averys. Bye.
Finances is a sticky subject for a lot of people, and it doesn't change just because you're romantic with somebody. It doesn't change because you're married to somebody, and sometimes because somebody's close to you, those conversations can become more heated.
So, who would you say is the buy it now versus the let's wait? It's not like you're against giving family members money, but it's like for you, you need to understand like the full context of what's going on, and not saying like, okay, like they have to like share everything, but you need to have enough understanding as far as, okay, like what's the situation so you can better help them. We want to make sure this cycle doesn't continue to where every time you get in trouble, you're calling us and asking for money.
I didn't know how many people kept separate bank accounts. I assume when people get married, the two become one. I still recommend that you guys begin combining finances on some different level, but begin combining your financial lives together if it's healthy for your marriage.
With your clients and also with us, I know there are different strategies as far as, okay, how to how to combine your income or not to combine at all. So like, what do you normally recommend to couples when it comes to as far as their finances?
I think going into this world, and this was before I was married, working with clients, I didn't know how many people kept separate bank accounts. I didn't know how that was just a thing out there. I assume when people get married, the two become one. But what happens is that people are getting married older, meaning they start developing different financial habits, different tendencies, and sometimes different, bad habits that they want to kind of keep to themselves. So people are starting to have separate bank accounts, even though they're still containing separate bank accounts, even though that they're married. I still recommend that you guys begin combining finances on some different level. Maybe it's starting off with one bank account, then extends to maybe one credit card, but begin combining your financial lives together if it's healthy for your marriage. Because there are times where, because the way somebody spends, because the way somebody spend money, because the way somebody grew up, it's just not a wise idea for them to stay together and put their finances together. So I recommend them combine finances, but in some cases, practically, it may not be in the cards for that couple.
And so with our accounts, kind of explain as far as how our accounts are set up.
Yeah, so right now we have two, kind of like a three primary account system. So the first account is the income account. That's where both of our incomes comes into one account. And then we have an account called a bill payment account where all bills are being paid out of the account. And we transfer that money every single month. The question is, why do you have two separate accounts? Wouldn't it just easily combine together? Well, just in case one of the accounts become compromised. If your income account becomes compromised, you know that you can just have that amount of money protected. And the last one, if your bill payment account becomes compromised, which is more than likely because this is an account that'll be linked to your credit cards, linked to all the utility payments, and mistakes actually do happen, your income account won't be compromised as well. So every month we transfer money into that bill payment account. And the last account is the savings account. After the bill payment account reaches a certain amount, we actually transfer that money into our long-term savings. And that's where we plan for things like vacations and our things like saving for retirement.
Then we also have the account, which I've never heard of, but I like. You call it like a dark account or like a slush fund?
Yeah. So those are the three primary accounts, but I'm a big believer, especially if you get married older in life, that you do have somewhat of a financial personality, some things that you need to keep to yourself. So each of us have individual accounts that are linked to that bill payment account. And that money gets transferred each to our individual account, in which we both have access to and have complete visibility to. But there is a small amount that is transferred to what we call a dark pool account. And this account is where I don't have access to it, but it receives a small sum of money in which my wife can spend on what she enjoys, and I can spend on what I enjoy, and we don't have to have any finger wagging on those type of decisions. The amount that goes into that dark pool account will be changed based off the couple. Some need a small amount, some need a larger amount. The goal is making sure that one, you guys are living life together and reducing arguments about pet peeves that we've developed as we grew up and developed financial habits, or maybe some trauma that we experienced when we were young.
So let's be honest. So what was it like? So I'm going to start first because, you're the financial planner and it probably wasn't as hard for you, I would assume. But let's talk about what it was like combining accounts. So first of all, when Randall suggested us combining accounts, like I didn't have any problems with it because, like I say, I know that my husband's someone that I can trust. As we've shared previously, answered some other questions as far as like he's very smart with his money, so it was a no-brainer for me as far as okay, like yes, we will join our accounts together. But what was hard for me at first with joining our accounts was my so health is important for me, but it's way more important for you. I feel like on levels, we're kind of like this when it comes to health. And so I'm someone that loves my sweets. Oh my gosh, I love my sweets and I love my coffee shops. And it's like because when we were first spending the money, you would see like more of like me going to like my bakery shops and stuff. And like my husband has like a funny personality, like he likes to joke. I'm not a big joker like him, so he would kind of like joke about like the bakery stuff I would go to. And so like that was hard for me at first. And it's something so simple because like I say, everything else, we were on the same page about finances. And so I was excited when you introduced like the dark pool, or we call it like a slush fund, because it allowed me to kind of do those things without like you kind of like being funny about it. Not funny like in a negative way as far as like he would crack jokes and stuff. And I'm not like a joke cracker like that. And so like I was excited to have that because I could just go out there and get my cake and get my ice cream, the things that bring me joy. And I would say that's what's kind of like what my struggle was in the beginning. But I did like the fact because our accounts were combined, it naturally opens up more communication. So I don't think we ever had to set the standard, but it's okay, well, because we have a joint account, if there's a large purchase, because of who we are individually, we naturally had the conversation versus just buying a large purchase. So I think it did allow me to kind of like to increase that communication. But that's what was hard for me at first was you joking on my sweets. Why you joke on my sweets like that?
I think everything is fair game. I joke on anything.
Yes.
I think that just shows that. So I think laughing about sweets and sweet choices is a funny matter because it's something that we all enjoy as humans. But because of how people perceive sweets or how they want other people to perceive them eating sweets, that can be a very sensitive subject.
Mm-hmm.
And I think in our case, it's sweets, but for other couples, it could be, dining out. It could be going on vacations. Like there are sensitive subjects that touch people in a way in which they no longer can handle that level of joking,
Mm-hmm.
or even want to communicate and open up about at all with their partner. So this is real life.
Yes. That is true. So I definitely enjoy, like I said, we have a combined account, but also I kind of get to do what I want in the dark pool account. And I don't think you shared it yet, but you also said like one of the benefits of having like that dark pool or that slush account, because like even our credit cards, they're combined as well, except for our business account. But the other benefit that you had shared about having that account was, like I say, like for instance, your birthday's coming up this year, so you're hitting a milestone. Mm-hmm. So if there's something special that I'm buying you, well, you don't want to go on like the bank statements or go online and kind of like see what it is. So it kind of does help, gives that element of surprise. So I do like the fact that we do have something separate, but like Randall shared, it's money that is, so I think for my income account, let's just say like $250. It's $250 that goes to that slush fund. So you know how much money is going to that slush fund. That's not a secret. But you don't know like how much you've accumulated. You probably have more in your slush fund versus me because I'm more of the spender, you're more of the saver. So we don't really know like the balances in there, but we know how much goes there each month because it goes from our joint income account.
I appreciate the info, Uncle Money.